All right, guys, thanks for tuning into this Elvis is the Man video. So this is going to be my rant about the Priscilla movie. As most of you know who've been following the channel closely, I am not happy at all with this movie being released. It's released today in the theaters, and this is why. So I had somewhat forgotten about this movie. I wasn't even sure if it would be in theaters. Maybe select theaters for a limited time or on Netflix or something like that. But it's finally here. It opens in theaters today, November 3rd. Now, I recommend you do not support this movie if you're an Elvis fan. Why am I so against it? One, it's a movie made from Priscilla's 1985 memoir, Elvis and Me. Now, if Lisa was angry with the Memphis Mafia for writing tell-alls about her dad, she had to be just as angry with her mom for releasing her book in 1985. And when it was released in 85, Lisa was 17. Lisa is no longer here, and Priscilla is an executive producer on this film. Listen to that, she was an executive producer, so she's highly involved in this film. Even EPE doesn't endorse it. And you know, it's funny that Priscilla this year was not there this past August for Elvis Week at Graceland in Memphis. She was replaced by Linda Thompson, and I find that funny. Now, I don't know if she wasn't asked or what, but I find that very interesting that Linda Thompson was there and not Priscilla. So what's the problem with this movie? What's the big deal? So, from my perspective, okay, and I think you guys will agree, in this age of white privilege, backlash, male patriarchy, toxic masculinity, the whole MJ, R. Kelly, child predator thing, or alleged child predator thing, and we as Elvis fans been doing our best to set the record straight and, keep Elvis away from being marked as one of those like MJ and R. Kelly and this and that. But, also you got to remember that life was different in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and even the 70s. Okay, things were different. It wasn't totally uncommon for a guy in his mid-20s to marry a girl who is 15, 16, 17. Even in the comments, you guys tell me, yeah, my grandma married my grandpa. There's 15-year age difference. It was much different back then. But people, when they go to the theater, they're not going to know this stuff. And this movie looks like it's totally going to paint Elvis as a male chauvinist, playing mind games with a young, influential Priscilla just to have what he wanted. It's going to make Elvis look bad, and it's going to try to undo, or at least I don't think it'll happen, but this movie really goes against everything that the Elvis movie last year did, with setting the record straight about certain things, specifically race. The Elvis movie from last year, I'm talking about the story of Elvis, just a humble, highly talented singer who was ripped off by his manager and others. This is going to make Elvis look like a jerk, in my opinion. So while I'm not watching it, I'll watch it at a later date when I don't have to spend money for it. I don't want to contribute to the movie's success. Even though I don't think it'll be too successful, I think it'll just be a flash in the pan. I'm going to read you the review from NPR and comment on it. So let's hear what they had to say about this movie. All right, so let's read this together. As Priscilla meets and falls in love with the biggest star in the world at the time, the experience takes off like a 50s-era white girl's teenage dream. Okay, white girl. All right, jumping down a bit, they're referencing a Lifetime movie. That fantasy incrementally morphs into a dramatic blueprint for emotional abuse and the confines of patriarchal domesticity. That's emotional abuse? Okay. Once Priscilla is living full-time at Graceland during her senior year of high school, with her parents' permission, she lives an isolated, lonely existence. Oh, poor Priscilla. She didn't want any of this. She's just an innocent girl. When not ostracized by classmates, she's expected to spend the rest of her waking hours, sitting around the compound waiting by the phone for whenever Elvis calls her from the road. Oh, just poor girl. Her limited in-person time with him, Elvis, further emphasizes their disconnect. His bro-y entourage, I guess that's the Memphis Mafia, is always around, and he dictates every aspect of their relationship, including her hair, dress, and intimacy. So I'm not denying that some of this stuff is not accurate, but it's like, Priscilla, you say will always be your one true love, and yada yada yada, and you do all this stuff. Oh, and she helped get us Graceland and all this stuff. She's preserving Elvis's legacy. Then she goes ahead and is the executive producer on a movie that makes Elvis look bad, but it makes her look good. So you see why people say Priscilla's only out for Priscilla. All right, he rejects all her advances, claiming he'll know when the time is, quote, right. Meanwhile, she bitterly reads the gossip mags as rumors swirl about his various on-set affairs with his age-appropriate movie co-stars like Anne Margaret. Like, Priscilla's not age-appropriate because she's too young, but some of them don't know what life was like in the South back then. All right. He gets her addicted to pills and descends into physical abuse. This is NPR's review of the movie. They watched it. Thankfully, I don't think a large amount of people will. But this does not help Elvis's legacy and puts like a tarnish on what the Elvis movie last year did. What would Lisa Marie be saying right now if she knew that Priscilla was an executive producer on this movie after she just loved Austin Butler and Baz at the job that they did to portray her father last year? Now we get this. Not to mention the war that Priscilla and Riley had over Lisa Marie's estate, aka Elvis's estate, that was initiated by Priscilla. All right, so that last sentence there. Elvis gets Priscilla, addicted to pills and descends into physical abuse. Why are we making a movie about this, Priscilla? Again, I'm not saying that this is all false. I'm just saying it's like, why would you emphasize this? Though that's the point, it seems. This is what it's like to fall under the spell of a much older and powerful person during your most formative years. Okay, so it looks like this movie really paints Priscilla as the victim. I did read the book Elvis and Me, and that's what this movie is made from. It's been a while since I've read it, but it doesn't put Elvis in a positive light. And this is NPR. They actually watched it. This is their review. Has the real-life Priscilla ever landed upon a sense of self apart from Elvis? Oh, she's just trying to find herself. She's almost 80 now. One can hope, yet it remains true that in the public's perception, she'll always be inextricably tethered to his memory because she wants it that way, in my opinion. She picked up the name Presley again. She goes to all the Elvis events, and partly because, there's money to be made there, and Lisa wasn't doing it like maybe Priscilla had wanted. But trust me, Priscilla is not trying to stay away from the limelight. The movie Priscilla only reiterates this sad truth. Aw. So you fans of Priscilla that have been debating me all these years, telling me I'm wrong, tell me now how I'm wrong. Show me where I don't get it.